Hello everyone, back at it again in my little yellow kayak. Got a beautiful morning for fishing. Got to straighten out my paddle a little bit here. A beautiful morning for fishing, but it's not the best day for bass in my opinion. The sun's already above the trees. You can see it pouring through the trees right now. And for bass fishing, I'd rather have clouds. I'd rather have falling pressure, or maybe a storm approaching. Even some showers, clouds, that kind of stuff. It just makes them more active. Maybe some wind. Anyway, we're going to go after panfish this time. And last time I was here, I found a bunch of panfish. Crappie, white perch, all mixed together. Sunfish. And for that, I was fishing with some kind of old standbys. The trout magnet, which is really good. The Z-Man shad fries, which I call my control bait, because if you want to know if there's panfish in the area, I just throw that, and if they don't eat it, then I just assume there's no panfish there. But this time I wanted to mix it up a little bit. It's good to try new things, and one way to do that is to leave your favorite baits at home and only bring out some new stuff to try. Now this works for swim baits, it works for panfish, works for trout. At least for me, I have a tendency to fall back on old favorites. So if I leave them at home and that's just not an option, I have to figure out other baits, make them eat it. And that's the plan for today. And I'm going to be fishing with a 2.5-inch Crush City Mare. Now that's a bait I've fished before and it's a great bait. But it's a little bit bigger than the Z-Man shad fries, and I was hoping to find a better caliber of fish. And last time there was a lot of fish on the surface kind of milling around, eating bugs, water striders, that kind of stuff. So I brought a topwater rod too. And the topwater is a classic Rebel Teeny Pop R with some upgraded hooks. I put a single hook on the back with a little bit of bucktail on it. The stock hooks are kind of small. Actually, they're probably perfect for sunfish, but I'm hoping to catch maybe some bigger crappie. Maybe a bass will take a shot at it. Spoiler alert, one did. And with the better hooks, with the upgraded hooks, you have a better shot of, first of all, hooking a bass or a large crappie with the slightly larger trebles and a bigger rear single hook. And then secondarily, you have a better shot of landing them, because if you hook them on really small bronze trebles, they have a tendency to bend out before you can get them to the boat. I'm going to start off with the Crush City Mare, and I fish it a lot like the shad fries. I've got a 1/8 ounce jig head on it, so it casts a little bit better, falls a little bit faster, but it's the same slow roll. And if you see me popping it, I'm either popping it out of weeds, but more likely I'm trying to set the hook on fish. They really like this bait, and if you set it up correctly, rig it straight, all that good stuff, it has a good tail kick, but it also has a body roll, a body wobble. So it's not just the tail kick. And those fish, they can feel it coming through the water, and they'll go and get it. Now the problem with the mare, if you can call it a problem, is that it's just a little bit big for a lot of the panfish. So you see me swing on the fish, I'm missing them. And what I'm really waiting for is for something to come along that's a little bit bigger than the other panfish and that can get it all the way in its mouth. So the first fish was a crappie. This looks like a white perch. And there's probably a school of them following it, pecking at the tail, until one of the larger ones, and that's not even a giant, but one of the larger white perch was able to get the hook. So in general, I'm going to catch less fish than with the shad fries, but I'm hoping to select for some of the bigger fish. I saw some fish kind of milling around on top, and I cast the popper at them. And a lot of the fish that were schooling on top, they were sunfish, bluegill specifically. And these bluegill are just a little bit small for the popper, but early in the morning they're aggressive enough that they'll take it right off the surface. Once that fog burns off, or sea smoke, whatever you want to call it, and the sun gets even a little bit higher, they'll shy away from a popper like that. It's just a little bit big for them. A better popper is the Rapella ultralight pop. It's a teeny little popper, has teeny little hooks. You can even replace those hooks with some small owner trebles, and that's a better choice for just straight up bluegill popping. But I'm going to make this work with the Rebel Teeny Pop R. The advantage of the Teeny Pop R is that it's a little bit bigger, it casts a little bit better, but I can select for bigger panfish. That's the idea anyway. I'm catching pretty much the same size bluegill, but the idea is that I can select for a little bit bigger panfish. The last time out, I was fishing, I was fishing a float with a trout magnet underneath, and the fish were actually going after the float. They're going after, it was a Thill mini shy bite float, and they're going after that. And when they start doing that, that means they'll eat topwater. They'll eat poppers, they'll eat other kinds of things. Little fly poppers too would be great. Anyway, that's how I decided I was going to bring out a topwater rod. And the other thing that I saw, and it looked like, to me, it was about 30 yards away, so I can't say for sure, and I only saw it for half a second, literally half a second. But I saw a fish roll on top, and it looked like he took a fly or a bee off the surface of the water, and that looked like a bigger crappie, a much bigger crappie. And I was thinking I might be able to get into some bigger crappie with the topwater, but what I'm catching is all bluegill. And you don't really know until you try. I tried it, and I'm mostly catching bluegill. I would say average size bluegill on the popper. So that didn't work out exactly how I planned, but that's okay. Just roll through some baits. I think I went back to the mare, the 2.5-inch mare. Easy release, quick release. That was a white perch, I think. Yeah, that's the mare. Cast it out. Cast great. 1/8 ounce jig head with the mare body. You're probably pushing 1/4 ounce total. Cast great. Gets down quickly. Stays down with that 1/8 ounce head. And it's just a slow roll. And I'm getting bit pretty much the whole cast, all the way back. See me swing on them, miss, 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 and then eventually I stick one. I tried a bunch of other baits too. I'm not going to show you all the ones that didn't work. That would be kind of boring. But one of the ones I will show you a little bit later is the Karashi. I took that off because I was afraid I was going to get bit off by a pickerel, but I tried some jerk baits. That worked okay, not great. Some little micro jerk baits. Oh, this was a fish that made a commotion through the school of panfish. I think they were mostly bluegill. And so I put the boat in reverse, came back over here, and I hooked something a little bit nicer. And that was a bass. And I assume that bass was chasing the bluegill, trying to have a bluegill breakfast. And now I've got him on my light action spinning rod that I was set up for panfish. I've got 8-pound braid to an 8-pound Berkeley big game leader, mono leader. And he's taking me into the weeds. And so I've got a little bit upsized tackle because I kind of had a feeling this could happen. But it's not really what I would choose to fish for bass with. So The game plan is to get him in the net as quickly as possible. He's not a giant. It's light tackle. I'm trying to be careful. But that's the kind of happy accident that can happen when you're fishing little poppers, you know. Every once in a while, a bass is going to take a swipe at it. So in the morning, I caught, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 bluegill in a row on that top water, and then I put it down because I was just catching bluegill, and they were kind of average size. If they were big, I would have kept fishing it. Picked that up again when I heard the splash behind me, and now I'm into a little bit better fish. There he is. Nice bass. Nice bass on the little teeny popper. I don't know where to let him go. Probably over there. That's a good spot for him. You can work this little teeny popper in 2 ways. You can kind of have it splash or spit, or you can have it go bloop, bloop. I kind of mix up my retrieve. But it seemed like most of the fish I was catching on the teeny popper were bluegill. There's some redbreast sunfish in here, and the redbreasts get a lot bigger than the bluegill, but I have to go through, I don't know, probably 100 or more bluegill to get one redbreast. Some of the redbreast are dinner plate size, so sometimes it is worth weeding through the bluegill to get at the redbreast. That last bait I showed you real quick was a Megabass Karashi. It's a new color. I think it's called Spotlight Shad. Basically, it's got chrome sides and a little hit of chartreuse on the tail. It's a good color, but as I was throwing it, I was thinking this is just going to be pickerel candy, and I don't want to get cut off here. So that Karashi didn't last too long. I pulled it in and took it off before pickerel cut me off. Back to slow rolling the Crush City Mare. If I get cut off with that, it's not that big of a deal. I'll just rig up a new mare. After a while, they did pull the bait down, and I had to super glue it back onto the jig head. Let it dry. That's another white perch. But it was surprisingly durable. It's a little bit bigger body than the shad fries, and that helps with the durability. But it's a regular plastisol bait. It's not TPE, it's not an elastomer, it's not Elastec. And I would guess that the durability is on par with the shad fries. Now the shad fries is an elastomer plastic, TPE, Elastec, whatever you want to call it. But it's a lot thinner at the tail section, and they will rip the tail off. If you catch enough of them, they will rip the tail off. There's a white perch. So anyway, I was impressed with the durability of the bear, and I have been. I'm still fishing, I think, the first bait I pulled out of the pack. And as long as I don't get cut off by a pickerel, and I can keep putting it back together with a little bit of super glue on the head, you know, even if the body gets messed up, I could fix it with Mend It, or even a little bit of super glue gel. That works pretty well too. I like Mend It if I'm going to be, you know, working at my workshop at home, and I can have a dry bait and let it dry overnight. But for on the water repairs, the super glue gel works probably better. I would say definitely better. What's that? That's another white perch. I was into the crappie early, and then got into a run of white perch. That's okay, they're fun. They get a lot bigger than that too. It seemed like I was onto some medium-sized white perch though. Cast out the mare, let it sink towards bottom. You can count it down, figure about 1 second a foot. Or you can just wait till it hits the bottom and then pop it off the bottom, and then it's just a slow roll back to the boat. That's all it is. I don't do any reel bumps. I don't do any twitches. Like I said, the only time I'm twitching that rod is if I'm popping it out of weeds, or I'm popping back against a fish that bit the bait. So it's dirt simple to use. If you can turn the handle, you can fish this bait, and the fish absolutely love it. They released some new colors recently, and I was hoping they would do that. I wanted a brighter color specifically for panfish and, maybe smallmouth, and they have a new color called chartreuse and white or chartreuse pearl, something like that. But basically it's chartreuse and white. And I think that's going to be a really great color for panfish, smallmouth. It's a bright, bold color, good contrast. So as soon as I can, I'm going to pick up a pack of those in the chartreuse and white. And I think I'll do pretty well with those. I only need a couple colors for most swim baits, I'd say. But I want something that kind of matches the predominant bait fish, whether it's shiners or herring, something in that Tennessee shad, electric shad colorway, something close like that. If you really wanted to get fancy, you can put in like an albino shad if it's cloudy. The albino shad typically doesn't have any flake, and I feel like that's a good color on cloudy days. And then something really bold and obnoxious like the chartreuse and white. And that can work well cloudy water, dirty water, or if you're just trying to get a reaction from the fish, or if it's really early in the morning, really late, or thick clouds, something like that. Sometimes a big, bold, bright color like that can get a better reaction from the fish. And panfish just seem to like those brighter, bolder colors, like electric chicken is another color variation. If they had that in the Crush City Mare and the 2.5 inch, I definitely get that color. Pink and white, or I've seen them call like morning dawn ghost, something like that. Anything like in that pink, purple, white spectrum, anything like that, the brighter contrast, the better. But the chartreuse and white, it's going to be a killer. I know it. I know it without even fishing it. It's going to be good. Sometimes smallmouth, they like those brighter chartreuses, those bright, bold chartreuse and white colors too. So I think it's going to have some double duty for smallmouth too. And it's a small enough package, a small enough size that you can start out with smallmouth in the morning and then switch over to panfish if the smallmouth slow down, and just keep slow rolling that same bait. I missed one just there. That's okay, I'll get him. Slow rolling it in. I'm fishing with a 7-foot light action spinning rod. That's a Dobbins rod I've got in my hand right now, and an older Daiwa Legalis 2000 size, and it's 8-pound Berkeley X9 braid. And I think I've got 6-pound Yozuri hybrid leader on this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. So a combo like this, it doesn't have to be super high end. In fact, I'd say you really don't need it to be super high end. And this is pretty moderately priced. It's nice to have good gear so everything works properly and lasts, and you have good feel and the drag works and all that. And then when you go to use it again in 2 or 3 years, it still works. But you don't need super high end gear at all for that, for this kind of fishing. And I would say it's not worth getting ultra high-end gear. Save those dollars for specialized bass gear, saltwater gear, striper gear, for when it really matters. That's where I'd put the spending towards. Alright, I had a good morning of fishing out here. But the bite's slowing down as that sun gets higher in the sky, and I'm just about ready to head back to the ramp. Maybe one more fish. Alright, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. just like all my other videos, I'll list all the gear in the video description so you can duplicate what I was doing out here this morning. Hopefully have some good success wherever you might be fishing across the country or around the world. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya!